Hello, students. Welcome back to your geography class. Today will be the final class before you will get a break, study break for your unit test. So today I'm going to show you the entire chapter. We're going to do the chapter at a glance. And what better to do it than a mind map? So in this chapter, you learned the meaning of the word resources and development. In this, you learned about resources and development, the types of resource, resources development and planning, the land utilization, and of course, you learned about the soil as a resource. We started the chapter with the definition of the word resources. That was everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, can be termed as a resource. I repeat this one. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, can be termed as resource. Let's go to the types of resources. Types of resources can be classified on 4 bases. You can classify the types of resources on the basis of ownership, on the basis of exhaustibility, on the basis of origin, and on the basis of status of development. If we look at on the basis of ownership, it is again divided into 4 parts: international resources, national resources, community-owned resources, and individual resources. International resources are the oceanic resources beyond the 200 nautical miles of the exclusive economic zone. National resources are all the resources that belong to the nation, that is minerals, water resources, forests, wildlife, land. And community-owned resources okay, so we were right here. We were talking about the national resources. We spoke about natural resources, that all the resources that belong to the nation are national resources. Next, we came to community-owned resources. So examples would be village common grounds, burial grounds, parks, village ponds, public parks, picnic spots, all these community halls, which are owned by community. And then we have individual resources, that is the resources that are owned by individuals. So example would be plots, houses, plantation, lands, water in the well, all this is owned by individuals. Next, we will look at how do we classify resources on the basis of the status of development. So in this, we have 3. We have a stock, which is materials which have the potential to satisfy human needs, but human beings do not have the appropriate technology to access them. For example, hydrogen cannot be used fully due to the lack of technology. Then we have potential resources. Potential resources are examples of wind and solar energy in Rajasthan and Gujarat. These are resources which are found in a region, but they have not been utilized. So we have found it, but we are not utilizing it. Okay. Then we have developed resources. Those are the resources which are surveyed, and their quantity and quality have also been checked and determined for utilization. These are the resources that we are using. Then you come to reserves. Now, what are reserves? Reserves are basically a subset of stock. Okay, so these are which can be put to use with the help of the technology. We know the technology, but still their use have still not started. So the resources which can be used for meeting future requirements. Then on the basis of exhaustibility, we have renewable and non-renewable. Okay, renewable are the ones that we can renew, and non-renewables are the ones that we cannot renew. So minerals, fossil fuels, they take millions and millions of years to renew, so they go in the non-renewable part. With solar, wind, forest, wildlife, these are all renewable energy. Okay, then on the basis of origin, we have abiotic and biotic. Abiotic, they compose of non-living things like rocks and metals, and biotic are obtained from the biosphere and they have lives. Example, human beings, flora, fauna, fisheries, livestock, etc. So this was classifying the types of resources on the basis of ownership, exhaustibility, origin, and the status of development. The next thing we learned in resources and development was soil as a resource. So in soil as a resource, we did two things. One is we did the classification of soil. We learned about alluvial soil, black soil, red and yellow soil, laterite soil, arid soil, and forest soil. We learned all about it. And then we went to soil erosion and soil conservation. In this, you all know that removal of the top soil, the top layer of the soil, is called soil erosion. Intense farming, grazing, construction activities, and other human activities, along with deforestation, have led to soil erosion. If you, we have a live example that has happened recently in the past, very close to our school. You all are well aware that a major chunk of the Malabar Hill, that is uh, near the Hanging Garden, collapsed in the recent rains, and it has blocked one entire roadway, okay, on Pedder Road. All right. So this was soil erosion, okay, but it was not only the topsoil. This was a big landslide actually. But soil erosion leads to landslides. And why do you think that happened? We don't have farming and grazing happening here. Construction activities, human activities, and possibly that's something we are not aware of is probably there was some deforestation happening there, which led to the landslide. That brings us to soil conservation. Because we know soil erosion takes place, we should conserve it. And this can be done by afforestation, terrace farming, etc. Then we learned about land utilization. How do you utilize the land? Forest, land under forest, we have 22.78%. And then there is land that is not, this is the land that is not available for cultivation. Which would be those lands? The barren and wastelands where nothing grows. There is land that is put to non-agricultural use, like building factories, there are roads, there are buildings. These are all non-agricultural lands. So this is the land that is not available for cultivation. Then we have some other uncultivated lands, that is the permanent pastures and grazing land. Then there are lands under miscellaneous tree crops, groves, culturable wasteland, etc. And then we have fallow lands, that is left without cultivation for one or less than one agricultural year, and it is left uncultivated for the past 1 to 5 agricultural years. So over, they keep it barren. They do not, cultivate it for a few years so that the natural soil fertility comes back. So the net sown area is the area uh, where you sow more than once in an agriculture year, plus net sown area is known as gross cropped area. area in which we sow more than once in an agricultural year, plus the net sown area is known as gross cropped area. Land use pattern is basically the way we use the land, and this depends on climate, topography, the type of soil, population, technology, the skill, population density, traditional capabilities, etc. All these help us define the land use pattern. What will that land be used for? Then we know about land degradation and conservation measures. There is about 130 million hectares of degraded land in India, and approximately 28% forest degraded area. 56% is water eroded area, and the rest is affected by saline and alkaline deposits. Then we spoke about resource development and planning. How do you develop your resource and how do you plan it? So resource planning in India happens in these three ways: making inventory of the resources after the region-wise identification has finished across the country. So first you have to identify the resources region-wise, and then you have to make an inventory, basically a list or a database of the resources along with the region. Then we make a plan, making of the planning structure with appropriate technology, skill, and institutions. So then you make a planning structure that this resource will use this technology, it will require this skill, and it will happen in this institution. And then finally, match the resource with the development plan. How do you conserve the resources? Irrational consumption and overutilization of resources can lead to socio-economic and environmental problems. Land resources, we have mountains, plateaus, plains, and islands. Development of resources, depletion of resources, accumulation of resources in only few hands, global ecological crises such as global warming, ozone layer depletion, etc. These are the reasons why we need to work on the development of resources. So with this, I am ending today's chapter at a glance. Y'all can start studying your chapter, do your textbook thoroughly. All the question and answers that we have discussed so far, all the question and answers behind your textbook, all of them are important. Okay, so with this, I end today's class. Stay home, stay safe, take care, and keep learning. Thank you.